Good evening, greetings, and salutations. This is Passionate Bliss, and this is actually my very first live. I may or may not have a guest. However, I am prepared to go ahead on with the show. It must go on, guest or no guest. Okay, this is actually a dry run for me, so who knows how it's going to go, but I should just get it going. And so I'll figure it out as we go. But I wanted to talk to you tonight about this term, high value man or high value woman. This is a term that's been around, I think, for a while, but I think a lot of us are coming, to be more aware of it because we're in a time where, it's awakening for us, it's an awakening for our country, and people are looking at themselves and looking at each other and seeing where we need to do better. And so it looks like this is a term that's really popular right now called a high value man or a high value woman, where people are determining whether someone else is a high value man or a high value woman. Now, off the gate, I'm going to find this an offensive term because to me, no one is in any position to determine someone's value. So, what's the definition of that word? Value to regard something. Regard something is held in importance, worth, or usefulness. And I don't believe any of us is in any position to determine what someone else's worth or usefulness or value is at all. And so, my questions for today are these. Um, what is a high value man or high value woman? Are you a high value man or a high value woman? Okay, let's take a look at it and see. My quote for today is this: surround yourself with people who see your value and remind you of it. Okay, so they wouldn't be determining it, they would just see it in you and just remind you of it. Okay. Um, and the reason why I find an issue with someone determining another person's value is this: because value is so subjective. What you value, I may not value. What I value, maybe no one else in the world values, but it's what I value, so it's important to me. Okay, and so when someone else's or some portion of society is attempting to determine someone else's value, then I think that opens the door for oppression, for judgment, for persecution, for you know, to disadvantage others. So I think it opens a door for a whole lot of undesirable things to take place once you start, as a society or as a culture or as a subgroup, start determining someone else's value. Okay, um, the whole term high value man. Okay, I watched this gentleman. His name was Kelvin Samuels. He's very popular. He is an image consultant. I watched the video. I was surprised at the amount of clutter in the room. It gave me a hoarder's type feeling because he's someone that seems to be very judgmental in what he does and when he delivers his presentation. So I was confused as to why the room was so junky. But then that's me, and I guess that's a side note. But the thing is that he was saying that his use of the word high value man or woman is based on six things. Okay, number one, money. To be considered a high value man or woman, you have to make six figures. Okay. Um, so apparently, money is something that he values. Now, personally, money is not something that I value. It's needed, it's necessary. I would like a decent amount so that I can be comfortable. But, you know, six figures would be nice, but that doesn't make someone more or less value if they don't have six figures. To me, as a man, as a woman, as a human being, I don't see that their value has been decreased by the fact that they're not making six figures. Okay. But that would always be nice. Number two, the second criteria, he said, length of time you've had this money or you've acquired this money over. And he said that 5 years is what will be making you look like a high value man or high value woman if you've had this money for 5 years at least, because then it shows some type of longevity and some type of stability. Okay. Number three, he said, was group acceptance. Okay, so the group others have to accept you as a high value person. Now, this is where I have a whole big issue. I've never been a group joiner. I've never cared what people in the group thought. And I often took delight in going against the group and going against the grain. So, yeah, this is not something that I would be subscribing to personally, just because as an individual, I'm not a group joiner, and so I could care less what the group thinks. I'm my own acceptance committee. So I don't need a group to accept me. Okay, number four. Networking. You must show that you have high value as far as your networking ability goes. You should have, he said, high value contacts. So I guess you're, hanging out with other people who also have six figures and had it for 5 years, and everyone else that is in your group, that you are networking with, or that they all are meeting these criteria. Okay, and so other individuals like this, and that in itself makes you of high value. he said. Um, and I personally believe that people are resources, but they don't necessarily have to adhere to this criteria that he set up, in my personal opinion, to be a high value person. Just them alone, on their the basis of their knowledge base, are they knowledgeable in a certain area that I need at this time? Um, Whether or not they have experience in a certain area, whether or not they have, life experience to a certain extent, they can still be of high value without being all these other things labeled to it. Six figures, all that. Um, he said the fifth one was visibility. You must be recognized by your position in society as someone who is of value. Again, giving society way too much control than they need over you and over your belief system. You know, they have to recognize you and acknowledge you, and by your position in society, you should be positioned so that everybody is, agreeing that you're of high value. And so what happens to you when they don't agree anymore that you're of high value? And so that's my feeling as to where the danger lies in this whole high value man, high value thing. You're giving a lot of power to other people who don't know you and who may not have the same values that you have to determine if you are of value, if you are worth anything, if you are useful, if you are important, if you should be held in high regard. You're giving other people the ability to determine that. And so to me, that's what's difficult for me to accept about this term. Then also the sixth one, you should be useful to others. Okay. And his position was that your presence should be felt when you come into the room, and your presence should be missed when you leave it. Now that happens to me all the time. I have presence, and it's got nothing to do with my income or society or length of time I had an income of any particular amount. But the thing is that are you useful to others? I like to feel like I am useful. I like to feel like I am a resource, just based on my knowledge base, my years of experience, my willingness to be out there and offer my assistance to people. Um, I feel like I am useful to others. And that is a part of what I feel like makes me valuable in particular, but that's something I'm deciding. Society's not going to decide that for me, that I'm of use and that I'm of value. So to me, that's a dangerous term. He says it's been around for a long time. We just have to be aware of it because the market is determining your value, and and so you have to be aware of that and accept it, and you should act in accordance to it. I guess if you want the things that he values or that people like him value, to me, I wonder about their depth. Are they shallow people? Are they even worth knowing? If you fall out of any of one of these six criteria, you're of no value to this person. So to me, adopting that mindset, adopting people who have that mindset is a dangerous thing. You're putting all this kind of stress and pressure on yourself to meet someone else's standard. And anytime you're meeting someone else's standard that is not your own, to me, that's a dangerous place to be in. Let me know what you think. Comment below. Y'all have sweet dreams. Wait to find them all real. And then maybe if I figure out how to run these lives, we can have lives. And I'll send out invitations, okay? All right, thanks for calling. Y'all have a good evening. Now I'm going to see. I'm practicing copying a link and dropping it in the room. So let's see how it goes.